studios of Wadapaitit on IFM. Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of the Roundtable. My name is Major Daniels, and this week we will be looking at major event in 2020, and there are a lot of them. This year we've had NSAS, we've had COVID-19, we've had budget cut, we've had so many of them. We've had reduction in the benchmark of petrol crude oil. So many things. This year we've had increase in the pump price of petrol, that is PMS. So many of them, we'll be talking about them. We've had insecurity as well. The killing of farmers in Zabamari, in Borno State, the kidnapping of the schoolboys who were released last Friday in Kankara, that is in Katsina State, and so many of them. And also this year, the Edo and Ondo State governorship elections, and of course this year as well, the Oluifon of Ifon, that is the Kabiyesi, the monarch who was killed on his way from Akure back to his base. So we'll be talking about all of this, but let's start from the 2020 budget. Initially, federal government budgeted 10.6 trillion, but when COVID came, there was a reduction in that. There was budget cuts that was reduced to 10.3 trillion. So we'll be talking about, but before we go into that, let me quickly introduce my studio guest. I have with me this afternoon Mr. Theo Adeboale. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Rotimi Ogle, chartered accountant and public commentator. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you, Mr. Dimeji.
And I have with me the studio Dr. Funsho Dare of the Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you, Dimeji. Good afternoon, listeners. Compliments of the season.
It's an economy, so we'll be talking economy as well, and we'll be doing some projections into 2021. My name is Major Daniels. So let's start from the budget. I said initially it was 10.6 trillion, and then government had to review it downwards to 10.3, and then the benchmark price of crude was taken to $28 because of what was happening on the international market. Because at some point, Nigerian crude oil was selling as low as $5 on the international market, and there were a lot of issues. Even most of the product was stuck on the sea because, and then we had to pay for the vessels which were not Nigeria's vessels, and I love that because Nigeria has some issue with storage as well. So, Mr. Rotimi Ogle, going forward, what do you think government? How do you think Nigerian government could be better prepared? I'm talking about when there was COVID now, when we had issues, we're not selling our crude. At some point, we had up to 12 million barrels on the sea, unsold. And then we were paying for the vessels because they were not Nigeria's vessels. Yes. We were paying for that. So that means we had issue with storage. So how do you think government can be better prepared going forward?
Thank you very much, Mr. Dimeji. Honestly speaking, for a very serious analyst who would have been following the budget rituals in Nigeria in the last 10 years, you will know that there will be a problem of this nature, especially when the year of COVID-19 broke out in March, to be precise. I think I was there, I said something. I said...
the first infection was on February 26th.
Yes, when the whole thing took effect in Nigeria, when there was this partial lockdown and later almost total lockdown. I said if our economy is locked down this way and COVID persists more than 4 months, I said we won't be able to recover in even 5 years. That was what I said. I said that because when we had the opportunity to plan our economy outside of the global product, which is oil, we did not take any serious economic steps in that direction. Now that we are jinxed in this COVID-19 economic quagmire, we are trying to now see how we can get out of it. Not even get out of it now. I want to believe that what we should be looking at now is how to survive as a nation economically. So what the government can do that I think maybe in the very good, I kind of start economically, is to begin a journey completely outside of this mono revenue economic status that we have and we have always had. The government must, as a matter of urgency, be committed fully into one, probity of revenue funding, it is not going to be the same way in which when you get to revenue department of government, anybody can generate money, anybody can administer fund anyhow. There must be sanctity of the way we generate revenue and we administer it, so that privilege and wastages can be reduced at that point. When we are sure of our revenue collection, then we must set our priority right. Our economy cannot accommodate the level of wastages that we are used to in the past. We cannot continue in that direction.
Do you, with what you have seen so far in recent times, do you think that government, not just at the federal level, but even at the state level, is on that right path?
We can't
to that discipline, to that fiscal discipline.
We are not.
Okay.
The first thing you observe is this: take our national budget appropriation bill, look at it, and look at the appropriation bill of all the 36 state governors. You see that there is no congruence. You will see disparities. Then it means structurally the country is not in a very good footing. Budget-wise, we are not speaking the same language. Then the result economically cannot be impressive. So we must begin to, serious people run the economy of a nation. Economy of a nation does not speak religious language. It doesn't speak political language. No. It doesn't appeal to sentiment. It's real. It's on real-time basis. So,
okay. One of the steps that the Nigerian government has taken this year is to sign an MOU with the Nigerian government, okay, which the demand on a daily basis is 5,000 liters of oil, and they said they have a surplus of 15,000. So Nigerian government has gone into an agreement with them. But the problem is that the crude oil of Niger has a high sulfur content. When the sulfur content of oil is above 0.5, it is classified as sour. Yeah. But when it is below, Nigeria's sulfur content is below 0.5. Yeah. That's why they call it sweet. Yeah. Now, we are bringing that. Let's talk about that MOU with the Nigerian government. What do you think about it? Nigeria having to buy oil from Niger?
Yes, Mr. Dimeji. Permit me to speak Yoruba. Yoruba people will say, if we have failed to do what I call critical planning economically, when we are now in a very critical stage, the best to do is to use the available, not what we have. Our economy does not have revenue, foreign currency. We've been having balance of payment deficit all this while. And you can imagine what the interplay of the forces of demand and supply will cause in the value of our naira to dollar. So it will keep coming down and dollar will keep going up. So if we now have revenue shortfall in terms of global product that we sell, it means that there will be pressure on our foreign currency in terms of importation. And if we ban almost all the items, the people at home, prices of goods and services will go up. The people will be complaining. So the best you can do is to do what I call partial opening, and so that some goods can come in. While you are doing that, you must equally reduce pressure on your foreign currency demand. So how do you reduce pressure? If you have to import rice, you have to import oil, you have to import everything. There will be constant pressure on your foreign currency, which is our second currency, which is dollar. Then what can the government do? The best they can do is to look at all these bulky items that demands huge foreign currency, which, of course, importation of fuel is one of them. So if you now have an arrangement where you can import from Niger, will not be so many costs must have been dropped. Then there won't be need for this huge demand of foreign currency, which is dollar, to import fuel. That will relieve the economy and free some fund.
So yes, it's a good move.
To me, it's a good move.
Okay.
But regardless of what might be the negative side of it, does the federal government have any other alternative as at now? To me, the simple answer is no. Since we have not been able to do what we are supposed to do when the time permits, when resources are available. So if we have failed in that direction, I think it is not going to be too late or too bad if they now see a very good alternative and they click into it.
Okay, let me turn to Dr. Funshodari.
Thank you.
This year, obviously, COVID-19 did a lot of damage to the economy. Nigerian economy went into recession, the second in 5 years, and the worst since 1987. Even with all of that, how would you rate the performance of the 2020 budget, especially in terms of area of infrastructure?
Well, thank you. In the area of infrastructure, we have performed abysmally low.
Holy.
And well, it's if it permits me to go back to your first question about our oil being on the sea and we paying for vessels and all that, it's a result of planlessness.
Yes.
What has happened? What has happened to all this turnaround maintenance over the years? It's not. We come out with budget, we don't implement it to the letter. That's why we now midway you come, you say you present reorder budget, reorder this, reorder that, and the details will not be open to us. So we should have that fiscal discipline of implementing the budget to the letter and not coming midway to say and input what is not. And that MOU with Niger, I want to disagree with my landed colleague. It is a huge shame.
Yes.
A huge shame.
This is a shame.
Having to look to Niger.
It is one step forward, 10 steps backward. How can we sign MOU with Niger? Our crude is far better than Niger's crude. And exporting crude, importing refined is a cost.
Yeah, yes.
It is a cost.
Yes.
I mean, there are so many reports on that, on resource cost thesis. That is our resource now looking like a cost rather than a blessing. That's what it seems. If I can use a little Yoruba,
Okay,
what we have.
Let me ask you this: an economy that is in recession, definitely, yes. Government has to do a lot of things to cushion the economy. To what's this word now? To make the economy more active. So that, would you say that the Nigerian government has done a lot in terms of providing a cushion to the economy, and then increasing what's it called now? The buying power of the citizens?
Well, I don't see them doing that. During the recession, what
about programs like trader money, farmer money, conditional cash transfer, and
trader money? Is it in the first instance? Was it evenly distributed? How many traders in Akure have access to that trader money? It's just a political act that was just organized and recorded on TV, where some people would get some parties from. It's not. It didn't go around. So the government did not do enough, to boost the buying power, the economy of the citizenry, knowing fully well that recession has eaten deep into the economy. A lull in economic activities, a lull in all the indices of economic parameters of measuring the economy, like the real GDP and all that. They have nosedived. You are supposed to cushion in and inject substantial funds into the economy that will go around. Now everybody knows that there is shortage of funds in circulation, whereas prices of things are skyrocketing. The inflation rate as we speak is
14.8.
It's terrible.
14.8.
And there's one of the highest in recent times.
I think in 34 months or thereabouts, since January 2018.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the highest.
The highest. 2018. So what are we talking about? Inflation, skyrocketing inflation, no money to back it up. So the people don't have effective demand. Okay. So it is. And we keep going back and forth on our policies. Last year we were here where we talk about African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes.
That where we want to boost the economy of African region and all that. Few months after, Buhari signed, the president signed that agreement. Shortly thereafter, the border was shut. How do we explain that?
Borders are open now.
Well, the deed has been done already. The deed has been done already.
Okay, let me talk to Dr. Adeboale. So with what we've been talking about, do you think that programs like trader money, farmer money, Empower, the conditional cash transfer have been effective?
Well, I believe that in countries where serious human beings dwell, critical sectors like the economy are manned by men who are technically equipped for the business. Trader money and all of them, I see them as some bonanzas without any scientific or any rigorous explanation behind them. It is as if government wanted to go out and do Father Christmas, and as if you were interacting with young children, you bring out sweet. You have brought the sweet, whatever it has done, it is done and it is gone. It does not look accountable, it does not look reasonable, and I don't see how it affects the economy, positively. So with this, I thought that it was the Jester's comedy, in the face of confusion that government did not know what to do. And government has not demonstrated it today that it has grasped the economic problem of Nigeria, so it has not been able to come up with any solution. And I don't see them coming up with anything like that for now.
Okay, talking about the inflation, Dr. Pishodari, talking about the inflation, which you just mentioned, you mentioned a while ago, which is around 4.8 now. 14.8, right? 14.8. How do you see any indication that we're doing anything to get out of the woods? And then, what are your suggestions for getting out of recession?
Getting out of the wood, especially looking at it from the point of view of inflation, we have to improve on our domestic productivity.
Okay.
Like agriculture, for instance.
So we have to energize the
production
sector.
Yeah, productive sector. Look beyond oil. Like my colleague has said, look beyond oil. Solid minerals is there to be extracted. Agric, we need to do more on agric. The only good thing that we could perceive during the border closure was that of rice. The domestic production of rice increased
very well.
States like Bonya and Jigawa now they are better off in terms of rice production and proceeds gotten from there. So we need to do more in that regard. Probably on those states, it's touted that we have bitumen. I don't know what it costs to extract, but then we know that the benefits therefrom will far outweigh the cost. So we need to go into such things, increase our productivity, and even if we have to go into exportation, we have to improve on it. There should be value added, not just exporting crude and exporting cocoa in its natural form. Then we now import chocolate and all that. Those are it doesn't not go well.
For a serious nation.
Yes.
Okay, you just mentioned diversification of the economy. And certainly agriculture is one of those areas. But then there are reports, even from the north, of farmers abandoning their farms, going to city centers, taking up other trades because they are scared of going to farms. We've had cases of farmers being slaughtered or being killed, being kidnapped on their farmlands. Now, certainly this is affecting agriculture. It is in November, the food index rose to around 18%. So definitely, it is showing it is affecting prices of food items. Now, what is your suggestion, Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye, to government? If we're talking diversification on one hand, and then there's insecurity on the other hand, how do we marry the two and be serious about diversification?
Thank you very much. Mr. Dimeji, let's just be frank. Governance in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise, is a very, very complex, huge task. At times, you may even have the good intention, you may even have the good head, you may even have a very good master plan, you may not still get results.
Why is it so?
It is so because we run a system that whatever we put on it may not bring results. So we have systemic problem. Like when my colleagues here were discussing you of N-Power, trader money and all of that. I won't believe that totally the policies are bad. No. For example, if you look at N-Power, so many graduates were employed and paid 30,000. They were in all secondary schools. And if you are in all secondary schools, for example, in Ondo State, you'll be talking like some 300 to 500. Those people that have collected that money, even if it is a year or two, would have been able, some of them would have been able to advance, plan some few things with it. It's only that we have a country where, because we don't have a very good system, if we now have external factor, which is limiting the system to operate optimally, every other policy you put into it will go astray.
What are these external factors?
As one of the external factors is, one, if we benchmark oil at, let's say, $50, it decreased to like $32.
We have no choice.
Yes,
it will affect whatever is happening here.
Two, we weren't expecting natural occurrence like COVID-19. It came. We do not have any reserve that could save us. So trader money and all of this, when there is no money to even pay, to even offset the main recurrent expenditure, you won't even have, like he said, some free fund to do bonanza. So it will kill that initiative. Whosoever that might have saved money that is benefiting from that scheme, maybe is having a kind of plan. At the midway, when that problem comes, the whole plan
was tiny savings.
So what I'm saying in essence is that we have a system, a federal system that cannot deliver the good we are talking about.
What end is the solution?
The solution is to first of all dismantle this fiscal federation we are operating, restructure this country in such a way that responsibility and deliverables will be something that you can measure. Not that somebody will be in Abuja and make policy for local government at Ilejimeje. Somebody that is even writing Ilejimeje, that is formulating the policy, cannot even spell the name of that local government correctly. So if you have such a long system, it will give room for corruption, it will give room for laziness, it will give room for incapacitation. So many people that are not even supposed to sit down and formulate policy will be at the table and begin to implement policies. So there's no way you can get it right. We are talking of diversification of the economy. You are talking of insecurity. I asked some friends few questions. I said, some S-men or some kidnappers or Boko Haram, whichever they may be, they just trade into some farmers' farm, killed about 47. They didn't take their money. They didn't take any of their private part. They did not go with their produce. They didn't do anything.
They only took their lives.
Yes, they just killed them and ran away. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? How do you explain that? That's why I said, if you have a system that is so large in the hands of a very few individuals like we have in Nigeria, without serious and definable structure that understand theoretical and scientific language, which you can use to assess those systems, then we will not get any result. That is the truth here. So if we must diversify, now that the agitation for restructuring is coming up, let all of us begin to sing this. Let us restructure and let's break down the country into a manageable fiscal entities. So that all these problems, for example, if we break this country down into fiscal entities that is manageable, if you now have a Amotekun that is so empowered, that is so structured according to our tradition, culture, our belief
in the Southwest,
yes, it will be easier for us to know one another. If any infiltrators are coming in, it will be easier to spot them, and because of our law that is so energized, that has the power to take care of those things, it will be easier for our law when we raise our voice to take care of that. But when you have a security outfit that is limited by structure, that is limited by establishment code, that is limited by even our inadequacies as a people, then there is little such an outfit could achieve.
Okay, you want to?
Yeah, still on the insecurity. even though, well, I believe in restructuring, that's a very good one. But then on insecurity, I believe the government of the day could do better. The government of the day could do better. We have a president that is a former military personnel, retired, even though retired, and I don't know, but he doesn't seem to have a grip on the economy, and even on this insecurity issue. So many people have been saying that, well, maybe the military chiefs, the service chiefs should be changed and all that, because we believe that a new broom will sweep cleaner and better. And even all this, the attempts at various states, even at the southwest, we have Amotekun and all that. Even the Amotekun, the way and manner they are going about it, it is not the way we feel our own traditional Amotekun should be. You're asking them to go online, to go and apply. Those Amotekun.
This is 24th century.
Yes, to go on. But the kind of people that we want to see in Amotekun, they are the people, those who cannot read, who cannot write.
Okay.
Those who will use our local technology. We are endowed with
Doctor, I don't know what you mean.
We are endowed with local means of fighting those things. Those are the people that should be seen in the forefront of Amotekun.
Okay. Because of our time. Let us just move on and let us look at COVID-19. COVID-19, as of this morning, Nigeria has had 78,433 cases. We've had 68,303 people discharged and 1,221 deaths. And then there are still 8,910 active cases. Let me turn to Mr. Adeboale. Would you say that the time that COVID-19 came, that the Nigerian healthcare system was well prepared for COVID-19?
There are two issues to COVID-19. I know it is a pandemic, and I know that it has wrought so much devastation in certain parts of the world. But I don't see COVID-19 as a problem in Nigeria. The statistics are there. We have had, I think, 7,171 infections. We have had
78,000.
70,000. We have had that number of mortalities for a serious country that its health system has been threatened by malaria, by Ebola, by all sorts of epidemics. Cowering before COVID-19 appears mischievous, dubious, and irresponsible. I believe that from the gist we have around, from the way our people who have fallen victim and have risen out of COVID-19, have feared, have survived, we should have even gone further to teach the world how to manage COVID-19 without unnecessary panic. And I believe that if there is anything to attend to in our health system, COVID-19 does not cry for any urgent attention.
So why do you say so? Because there are claims that the second wave started.
And that it could be deadlier.
Yeah, because we are hearing a report that there is another strain, especially in a place like the UK, that is more stubborn, more resistant to treatment.
What I'm saying is that Nigerians have survived COVID-19. Things can only get better. And I just see the mischief of certain people in position of power. The kind of hype they make out of COVID-19. The realities on ground do not support them. And we already know when you feel cold or feel some of these strange symptoms, go and get hot water.
What about notable people who have died from COVID-19? The chief of staff of the president, Abba Kyari, died this year.
Yeah.
The former governor of Oyo State, what's his name now? Ajimobi, died of COVID-19 complications.
Yes.
Recently.
Oh, those are very unfortunate situations, but I can assure you
that is not enough testimony that this pandemic is lethal.
They will have died whether we discovered COVID-19 or not.
You wouldn't know for sure.
I will know because these deaths were said to have resulted from underlying sicknesses, and these sicknesses on their own could have killed them. We have had several cases of malaria, several cases of things that are not that we do not know that came around and slaughtered people. People will die whether you call something COVID-19 or not. And I believe that we should not allow our people, to be frightened by COVID-19. It is sufficient for us to observe the protocols. But I know that from all observations, our health system are not in order. And you can see when COVID-19 struck the US, when it struck Britain, when it struck Japan, when it struck this country.
Do you think that COVID-19 has made government or has brought about any improvement in the Nigerian healthcare system?
Well, if anything, COVID-19 has brought some embarrassment on Nigerian government, because elsewhere, particularly in the civilized countries, the COVID-19 experience has brought government to be empathic, to be caring, to be bothered by the problems of their people. The way these governments went to ensure that their people did not suffer, that the
Nigerian government did the same thing. They were palliatives.
The Nigerian government was only able to expose its irresponsibility.
They were palliatives, even at the state level.
Well, maybe you saw it. I never saw palliatives. But I want to tell you that the only thing COVID-19 got me to know is that there are certain inbuilt mechanisms in the communication gadget that we have that could have been used to save people, but Nigerian government has refused to use them until some people went to loot warehouse, and thereafter we got to know that they were able to capture these people even without trailing them, without tracking them. So people who go to kidnap, to abduct, Nigerian government will have used the
such technology.
Yes, to detect them, but it would rather not do that until it has an opportunity, to expose us its irresponsibility.
Okay, what is your take on the fact that Nigeria may spend over 500 billion naira for COVID-19 vaccine?
Yes, I expect them to spend any amount because Nigerian government is a government of very funny people. Very funny people.
Well, I've had that question. That figure. Well, me, I won't just. When it is figure, at times the question we need.
And you have to think about the exchange rate as well.
The question you need to ask is, what is their base statistics that made them to project that they are going to spend that
up
much?
To that, yes.
Then you look at the cost of the drug. Then the cost.
You look at the exchange rate.
Yes, that's the cost.
Yes.
Because you build exchange rates, all of that into it. They may be using our population as base figure.
Yes, it is possible.
They may say if we are going to
give everybody, vaccinate everybody.
Yes, of course, they must give it to everybody.
Yes.
The cost of personnel will be added.
Yes.
Transportation, storage, and other ancillary
will be built into it.
Built into it.
So you may be surprised that it
may even be more than that.
It might even be higher.
Okay.
But generally, we are not that meticulous about figure.
The problem with us is that you see
There's distrust in the system.
Yeah.
There's a lot of distrust in the system.
we are victims of our character as a people.
Yes.
That has made us to have a kind of disconnect between those who govern us and the governed. When people in government talks, I mean,
when we hear any figure,
when they talk,
really when people hear
when
figure,
the figure comes out, people will say, I want to today. You see, there's a
lot of distrust. How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah. Now,
how do we bridge that gap?
It's difficult.
No, I was talking to doctor. I was talking to a friend. He came up with this idea of our country is so rich, and that I said, okay, if you believe our country is rich, I'm a student of numeric science. Take our budget. Pick any year.
At the moment, I don't think there is no money.
I said, pick our budget. You can use any year as base year. He said, okay, let's look at 2005 when we have money, oil boom. I said, okay, let's have the budget. What was our population at that time?
Okay.
He told me the population.
That's
I said,
the base point.
Okay, divide the budget. Let's say we are now looking at per head. That okay, this is the volume of money we are going to generate and spend within a year in a particular, given entity. I divided it, and it came to like party sum of 80-something thousand naira
per person.
Yes, I said that is what you are supposed to spend
in a year,
12 months. And I said out of this month, government overhead salaries over
there,
impress they are there, and security they are all there. I said it means that,
and then there is the capital aspect of the of the budget.
I said if we take the entire budget and you begin to use it to construct road, that budget will not fix the entire road in Lagos State alone.
Yes, it won't.
I said the entire budget, let's say you are not taking a penny out of it, just divert it into construction of good roads, not the one that they were going to do the bill of quantity and the money for the cement and all of that will go into private pockets. I said let them do standard road. It will complete all the roads in Lagos State, even in 4 years. I said that is the state of our economy. I said now pick a state in US. Don't let us compare purchasing power parity first. Let's leave that. Pick that state
and look at their budget.
Look at
New York. Look at California.
It's bigger than
Nigeria budget.
It's bigger than our budget.
The Nigerian budget.
I said that will tell you just one simple thing, that less than 20% of us are productive. That's one. Two, every year, over 60% of our national life fiscally are not met. It means in terms of infrastructure, in terms of personal well-being, we are behind 60% every year. And we have been carrying that for over 40 years.
Roll over.
So how can we do well? I said we need to run the economy the way it is being run. Economy is run better when all the citizens are made to make national contribution through our taxes, through our rates and all of that. And all these funds are judiciously and totally, with caution, plow back into the economy in terms of infrastructure, in terms of social welfare, in terms of faith.
Okay, because of our time, let's talk NSAS. The Inspector General of Police says 22 policemen died. But Amnesty International put the total figure, policemen and civilians who died at 56. We witnessed a lot of policemen, police stations were burned down during the NSAS protest. A lot of properties were destroyed. Dr. Funshodari, let me ask you now, do you think that Nigeria has learned anything from NSAS?
Well, I should believe so. But then it's especially from the government. They know that people are pent up anger. The youth came up with NSAS. But when you look at the protest itself, it goes beyond the police and SARS. They are protesting against the government, against everything, against inadequacy, against unemployment. The bitterness is there.
Against hunger,
and people I just hope there won't be another protest, because if we have another protest now, then it won't be limited to the youth. You might see people, even the elderly and everybody joining, pensioners joining. So I believe the government has learned one or two things. One, that we live in a global economy. whatever we do here, you cannot just suppress it and believe that it's done. You can sweep it on the ground. You know, the Lekki episode, I mean...
What's your take on the back and forth between government and people? People died, people didn't die, people were shot, people were not shot. What's your take on the back and forth?
I think we should just be plain. We should just come out of it and apologize. Okay, so many people were killed. Yeah, we are sorry. It won't repeat itself and all. Because there's no way military men would open fire on crown.
They shot blanks.
Well, that's what we are made to
That's
believe.
what they said.
That but if they shot blanks, then people should not have died. Maybe they should have only sustained injuries that could be treated and all that. But at least, I think the Lagos State governor
said only 2 people died.
At least those two. Have they done the post-mortem? What killed them? Is it blank or bullet? You know, and in that Lekki scene, they came up with several pellets. You know. Of guns and all that. So where did they get that from? So we should just be sincere for once. Okay. So many people die.
Okay.
Then they should. Then the government of the day should sit up, because they have been challenged, so to say. They need to do more. They need to do more in terms of infrastructural inadequacies, in terms of providing jobs for the teeming youth who are churning them out from universities year in year out. They are unemployed.
Okay,
so there should be means of flying back into the economy. Let people see that you are doing something that will boost the standard of living.
Okay, because of our time, insecurity is a big feature of this year. We talked about the killing of the farmers, the schoolboys who were abducted and later released. Even in that same Katsina, some Islamic school pupils were also abducted. They've been rescued. In Ondo State has had its own fair share. The extraditional ruler was murdered there. The wife of the chief of staff was kidnapped, and then so many other people have been kidnapped this year and released, even in Ondo State. Mr. Rotimi Ogle, what effect do you think this has had on the economy?
Thank you very much.
And going forward into 2021, if we should continue this way, what are likely to be the consequences for the economy?
Okay, I want to see everything from the point of view of the economy, like you already said. Take, for instance, you are an individual. You work, you earn money. If you want to enlarge the scope of your revenue, you must do beyond the immediate environment where you work. You must relate with people, create other business activities, economic transaction, commerce that can attract people to you or to what you are doing. So if you have a state, a country that is bedeviled by consistent insecurity, by consistent kidnapping,
to the extent that other countries are issuing travel direct to their citizens.
Yes, you should know that the economy of that country is in problem.
It is.
Can you,
going forward into 2021, because of our time, what are likely to be the consequences of this? If we continue to go this way,
if we continue to go this way, if hunger is added to this issue of insecurity, there may be a total anarchy. And if that occurs, we know what will happen. So
okay,
we are appealing to the government now that they have opened the border, and again too, we should appeal to our people. I had a story which was a very funny one. When it was announced that the border is opened, some people that had stock of foreign rice, instead of selling it for 30-something thousand naira, they began to auction it 28,000 naira, just at the announcement that the border is open.
Because they know that,
which means some
trying to bring
they are artificial
scarcity.
So our people too should not take advantage of the system and begin to inflict
and exploit.
They must not do that.
Okay, because of that, let me turn to Doctor. One of the big feature of this year is the call for the sack of the service chiefs. People continue to make that call. The National Assembly, Senate, the House of Representatives have made this call, but Mr. President feels, except last week after the release of the Kankara schoolboys, he said that he was not impressed with what they have done. Let's quickly listen to that.
I meet them. We have security meetings from time to time. They must be very clear of my instructions. Their efforts is not good enough for me. Our responsibility, I said, is to secure this country for all the citizens. to do their businesses without any problem. We haven't achieved that yet, but we will keep on trying.
Okay, that was in that same interview. He hinted that 2021 is going to be a busy year for the Nigerian military, and some people feel that he is likely to sack them. What do you think?
Yes, what I think is that the NSAS...
Because for the first time, he admitted that he was not impressed.
Yes, the NSAS thing came, and some people thought it had left. I believe that it just came to serve them a warning that we are here, we have had enough, we can always rise. And with the development, signify that this government is distrustful. Not necessarily that it cannot be trusted or whatever, but that there is a great level of distrust among the people against government. In spite of its abracadabra, in spite of its propaganda, it knows that there is real fire at the rooftop. And unless it is hinting that it is not going to be as usual, business as usual, that when NSAS or its follow-up returns, it will be very, 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 very...
So what do you think about the service chiefs? You think they should go?
So what I know is that the service chiefs are either going now or about to go. They will soon leave.
Okay, let's talk politics.
Long overdue.
This same year, the APC dissolved its National Working Committee. This same year, the APC put in place the Buni-led caretaker committee, and there was to be membership registration. That one was put on hold. This same year, the APC at the neck dissolved all the ESCO of the party from the national level to the state level, and then he appointed them in acting capacity. Now, my question is this, Mr. Rotimi Ogule, how do you think that the scramble for the 2023 presidency is going to shape affairs, or let me say the polity in Nigeria in 2021?
From experience, one funny thing is that the ruling party, when power game is up and everybody is running up and down, and the politics or the political platform seems crumbling and that everything will collapse, at a point you just see that the whole storm would come like a thunderbolt, and at the middle something will just come to just burst it, and the entire thing will be deflated.
Will be stabilized. Will be stable.
I want to believe too that at a point it will be stable. At a point, these pockets of power players within the political platform of PPC will realize that, one, it is because we have a platform. That is why we are playing all this power game. And two, we need to allow justice and wide consultation to define our policies and the way we relate. I want to believe they have same mind, and I want to believe at a point in time along the journey, sanity will resume. And when sanity resumes, they will see the bigger picture than their narrow ambition, which, if they are not careful, will tear the party into shreds. And when that is done, theirs will be worse than that of
Talking about tearing the party into shreds, some people have predicted that there's likely to be the emergence of another political party from people from APC and the PDP.
Like a coalition, sort of.
Yes. Just like we had the APC in 2014, where people from the different ACN, the CPC, from ABGA, and then the new PDP at the time came together to form APC. Do you see that happening in 2021?
For now, I think what I can see is serious political blocs agitating for their chunk of power and patronage within the platform of APC. And if they are given that particular demand of theirs, the center will vote. If not, the normal thing that used to happen to national party, that a little here, a little there will come together and force another stroke.
Would happen. Do you think that in 2021 we're likely to see a clearer picture of where the pendulum will swing? I'm talking about the presidency now, in both the PDP and the APC, whether we're going to the north or we're coming to the south.
You will not see it. What you will see in 2021 is a clash of grouping within APC. Some particular.
What about the PDP?
PDP will have serious internal crisis too. They will have crisis because there will be serious picketing from the side of APC into the PDP. That will be by one side. Then within APC, you will now see a clear-cut group. This belongs to this block.
Distinct.
Yes, this belongs to this block. That is what you see more in 2021. And that is what will now dovetail into whatever will happen thereafter.
2023.
So they want to consolidate on a particular agenda they would have had. So that consolidation will bring into fore political activism within the political platform. Then recruitment here and there.
Okay, Mr. Adeboale, Akeredolu will begin his second term on February 24, 2021. What is your projection for the second term of Akeredolu as the governor of Ondo State? Your projection?
Projection as to what?
What do you see?
It will be business as usual.
You don't see any improvement. Is that what you're saying?
It will continue to consolidate. Having taken over power in the state, and maybe it will be looking for means of asserting power and ensuring that that the state, attains peace and prosperity.
Okay, Mr. Funsho, Dr. Funsho Dare, in 2020, what would you say has been the positives of 2020 for Nigeria?
2020?
Yeah, for Nigeria.
Yeah, our eyes have been opened. Maybe from the government side, they now know that we can speak with one voice, that even the youth can rise up and challenge them. Their students and all that, they can.
You think that is a good thing?
It is.
Okay.
It is because our problem has not only been leadership problem. We have always had followership problems too. Okay. So if the followers, the followership can be properly defined, and they know that they are pressure groups, that they could checkmate the government, and they could make them work and perform better. Then it is to our own good. That is one thing that I see in 2020.
Mr. Roundtable, the positives for Nigeria in 2020.
Yeah, in 2021.
2020. This start going here.
2020.
Yes.
Yeah, the positive is that one, we have been able to see that if we continue in our mono economic revenue platform, that we cannot get to anywhere. COVID-19 has been able to teach us that. Then ESAS, like you said, has taught us that the society, the youth, everybody can rise against the government at any time if they are not on their toes.
Mr. Adeboale, any positives?
That Nigeria has all it takes to make a change, and at the appropriate time, it will assert its potential.
For example, our
time is fast, right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Adeboale, Mr. Roundtable, and Dr. Funsho Dare. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Major Daniels, and this is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of the Roundtable. Join us same time next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Keep it locked on Adaba FM.